A major issue for many young New Brunswickers is the crushing level of their student debt. By graduation day, young New Brunswickers are carrying an average debt load of $40,000, almost 50% higher than the national average. Successive governments have cut programs that helped graduates with their debt. The newly re-implemented tuition tax credit will help some, but as of December 31st, 2019, there will be no student debt relief program in New Brunswick. The New Brunswick Student Alliance has called on the government to create a New Brunswick debt relief program that would forgive a maximum of 20% per year over 5 years. This would ensure that young New Brunswickers are not buried in student debt for most of their adult life. Will the Minister of Post-Secondary Education institute a New Brunswick debt relief program as requested by the New Brunswick Student Alliance?
The Minister of Post-Secondary Education, Training and Labour.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the member opposite for the question. And what I can tell her is that I have been meeting with the New Brunswick Student Alliance, as I know that she has as well. We are having, at the moment, and I've told the students this over the last number of months, that all the programs that we have in place are currently being reviewed, and we will continue to look at options going forward. But I also think that this is important, as I've said numerous times over the last number of weeks and months, that we need to have a bigger conversation about post-secondary education in this province that involves students, involves faculty, involves the administration, involves the citizens of New Brunswick, involves the business community as well, Mr. Speaker, so that we can continue to have a bigger conversation going forward about how we deal with issues like debt relief and also lining up our training and education with our labour market demands, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Merrimack-Cook-Tantramar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I look forward to being part of that conversation. Another change that the government could make that would help recent graduates would be to forgive the interest on student debt. The previous government committed to this and budgeted for it. However, they were not quite ambitious enough to implement it before the last provincial election. But other provinces, including British Columbia earlier this year and Nova Scotia 5 years ago, have implemented this policy. Students pay about $10 million in provincial student loan interest annually in New Brunswick. The latest financial results published by the government are projecting an $88 million surplus, so there's lots of money in this budget that could be allocated to make this small change that would have a big impact on the individual debt of recent graduates. Mr. Speaker, considering New Brunswick's demographic challenges, we need to find incentives for recent graduates to stay in our province. Will the Minister of Post-Secondary Education, Training and Labour eliminate the provincial interest on New Brunswick student loans?
The Minister of Post-Secondary Education, Training and Labour.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I've indicated before, all of these particular options are on the table and they'll all be considered. I think what is important, as I said a minute ago, having that bigger conversation properly facilitated, and yes, I would love you to be part of that conversation, as I would all members in this House as we move forward. But I do think that it is critical as we move forward that we do more in this province with our publicly funded colleges and universities and our privately funded colleges and universities to be aligning what we do with our labour market demands, Mr. Speaker, so that the young people of today are positioned for the future, and more importantly, our province is positioned going forward to be the best that we can be and meet the labour market demands and create prosperity in this province, Mr. Speaker.